I want to start my talk by asking you to close your eyes for a few seconds. And in your mind, try and list all of the things that you love. Now open your eyes. Within that few seconds, how long did it take you to name yourself? Interesting, isn't it? 4 years, I have been struggling trying to love myself. I believe at one point in time, people will struggle trying to feel comfortable in their own skin. Maybe some of you had those times when you ask yourself, why am I too fat? Why am I too skinny? Why am I not like her? Or why am I not like him? People are more insecure in this modern age because we now have social medias. We tend to compare ourselves a lot to other people. You see your friends posting pictures on Instagram about their vacation, Bahamas, or your cousins updating status on Facebook about how early they got master's degree. And you sit there, think, and you wish how your life could be like theirs. So how do you overcome your insecurities? Whenever I scroll to Twitter or Facebook, I always see people talk about self-love. People would tell things like, believe in yourself more, or don't care about what other people think of you. Although those terms are true, but to me, it's easier to say than actually doing it. One thing about me is that I am an overthinker. I think too much, and I also feel too much. I care too much about what other people think of me, and that is how I developed my insecurity. I didn't think I was good enough to do anything at all. Before I came to the United States, I had to go to a prep school in Malaysia for a year because it is one of the requirements before coming here. We had to take a lot of English classes, and I remember that I had to take a speech communication course. And I hated every single second I was in that class. I just didn't like the idea of talking to in front of people, even if it's just my classmates. I will always get nervous whenever my professor would call out my name. What if people judge the way I speak? Or what if my speech didn't make any sense? Where should I put my hands? Should it be here? Or here, or here? I didn't know what to do. I had all those questions in my head. And one day, our professor asked us to do a demonstration speech. And I decided to do a speech on how to make a homemade ice cream in a bag, because why not? So I gathered all my stuffs, and 10 minutes before it was my turn to talk, I had my best friend came up to me because he saw how nervous I was to talk in front of people. He told me that I should believe in myself more. And his words didn't actually work on me. He told me that another way to feel less embarrassed is by picturing everyone naked. And so I thought about what he told me and told myself that, okay, I can do this. Everyone is naked. Cool. And as soon as I walked into the middle of the class, my palms started to sweat. I rubbed my hands and I started my speech. My speech lasted for the whole 10 minutes. And after it was done, I was so glad I didn't have to do it again. And then at the end of the semester, we received our grades, and I got to find out that I got an A for my class. I was so amazed and impressed with myself because I didn't know that believing in yourself thing really worked. Okay, actually, I got a C for that class. But at the end of the semester, I learned something about myself. I learned that I would always be so bad at giving speech, and I swore to myself that I was never going to do it again. And 3.5 years later, here I am on TEDx stage, giving a TEDx talk about how to be confident with yourself. And this was me in the year 2017. I skydived. I became a radio DJ for a local radio station. And in the summer of 2017, I solo traveled to 14 different countries in 35 days. Who would have thought that this small town girl from Malaysia could have done all this in just 1 year? So, how do you start anything at all? I always have friends tell me that they can't do this, they cannot do that. Throughout my 3 years here in the United States, I always travel with my friends. I would work at least 15 hours per week and save up my money. And I would travel during winter breaks or any breaks at all. And I remember it was 2 years ago that my friend, Shasha, who studies in Temple University, decided that we should go on our little trip to Rio. We FaceTime every single day, planned out everything, and we bought our tickets together. And on the day of our flight, I had a friend send me to the airport. And on that exact morning, I received a call from Shasha. I had a bad feeling about it, and I was right. Shasha told me that her credit card didn't go through, which means that she didn't actually buy the ticket with me. I wasn't mad at her at that time. I was more to like, I didn't know how to react. I was already at the airport. I asked myself if I should just go home or go to Rio, because I already paid for all the travel expenses and stuff. I sat down, I took a deep breath, and I called my friend again. I told him everything about it, and he asked me if I wanted to be picked up. And suddenly, I remember about that one time I hung out at his place. He told me that whenever he drinks alcohol, he would gain this huge chunk of self-confidence. Now, I didn't know how alcohol scientifically worked at that time, but I assumed that whenever you drink it, you suddenly gain this few seconds of courage where you just want to do things that fears you the most. He told me that the term is called liquid courage. So I tried to apply the term to my current situation back then. And I told myself, you know what? Maybe all I need is 20 seconds of courage. I took my own advice and I went to Rio. And this was me in Rio. I met a lot of people. I couch surf, and I took a walk to what they call the most dangerous place in Rio, favela. And it was fine. And I decided to call my mom on my third day when I was in Rio because someone needed to know that I was safe. And I called my mom, like, hey mom, it's Aiyna. I'm in Rio, I'm safe. I'm eating a lot. Don't worry so much about me. Okay. And after 15 seconds of silence, my mom started lecturing me for the whole 10 minutes. But she realized that she couldn't do anything because I was already there. So, ever since my trip to Rio, I realized that all this while, my fears prevent me from discovering the beauty of life. And ever since that, I started to become more confident with myself because whenever I feel afraid to do something, I would tell myself that if I'm brave enough to roam around in Rio alone, I can definitely do bigger things in life. I turn my fears into my strength and my passion to my confidence booster. So remember, whenever you feel like you want to try to do something new, tell yourself that all you need is 20 seconds of courage. This does not just apply to solo traveling. it could be if you're just too afraid to take that job offer just out of your scope. Or maybe like a simple one, like asking a girl or a boy out on a date. If you worry too much, if it won't turn out to be the way you want it to, ask yourself again, will it matter to you in the next 5 or 10 years? If your answer is no, then go for it. If your answer is yes, then still go for it. Because to me, I would rather regret having done something than regret not doing anything at all. And the next thing I want to share with you guys is how to be good at something. I came to the United States in the year 2014 as a full-time undergraduate student. The first year was quite hard for me because I had experienced culture shock. The way people do things here are different. The way people eat and even pronouncing things. In Malaysia, we were taught British English. We would say football instead of soccer, lorry instead of truck, and biscuits instead of cookies and crackers. And another thing that is different between America and Malaysia is the way people pronounce things here. I have an American family here in the United States, and they will always invite me to come to dinner or cook meals together. And I remember I told one of the family members, sometimes I call her my mom or mommy, that I went to a trip to this state on my winter trip. So I told my mom that I had an amazing trip to Oregon. Now, if I see this word on an assignment or textbook or anywhere at all, I would pronounce it as Oregon. You know, like the word Amazon or Pokemon. So I told my mom I had an amazing trip there. And she realized that I pronounced it wrongly, but she corrected me in a very subtle way, saying that, oh, that's great that you have an amazing trip to Oregon. And that is how I realized how weird Americans pronounce things here. Every day, I would talk to my family and friends in English, and over time, I became more confident talking my second language. And that is how I learned the importance of practice and repetition. If you want to build your self-confidence, you have to give yourself time. It took me somewhat 3.5 years to be somewhat fluent talking my second language, and I still have a lot more to learn. Even whenever we had our TEDx practice, I would always ask other speakers, how could you be so confident talking to in front of people? And they would tell me that they have been doing this for 20 years. So it is okay to take it at your pace, but remind yourself that constant practice will lead you to greater things. Just like when we learned alphabet when we were in kindergarten. We never knew ABC before, but our teacher would tell us to sing the alphabet song every single day. And now, we don't even have to memorize it. It's already on the back of our mind. Same thing like everything else. Don't be afraid to try out something new, and don't be afraid to fail countless times. Now I would like to repeat the 2 things that I have mentioned to you. So if you ask me, how do I start anything at all? I would say practice your 20 seconds of courage. And if you ask me how to be good at something, you have to practice and repeat the same thing. And the last thing I want to share with you guys is how to stay motivated. I always have friends who goes to the gym every start of the year. They told me that they want to get fit, they want to get those peaches, and they want to get those buns on their tummy. And after a few weeks or a few days, I don't see them at all. And my friend would tell me that they're just too lazy to go, or they're just too busy because of all of the assignments and projects. Now, don't get me wrong. I used to be like that too. I didn't see the point of going to the gym because I am that type of person who likes to eat a lot, like a lot. Call me a typical Asian, but I love my rice. I could eat 4 or 5 bowls of rice in one sitting. And sometimes I would wake up 4 in the morning just because I'm hungry. But now, I would go to the gym 5 times per week. I don't consider it as a burden, but I think it as my lifestyle. So how do you keep yourself motivated? One key to stay persistent is by celebrating your small victories. It doesn't matter if your achievement is small to you. Just go out and celebrate it. Write down your goals and achievements. Now, if you go to the gym and you manage to lose a few pounds, don't go out and get yourself some burger. What I meant by celebrating your small victories is by doing something that is more aligned to your goals. Maybe you could take a short trip to the lake or go watch a movie with your friends. Anything at all. Because whenever you celebrate your small victories, you'll tend to appreciate yourself more and more grateful with your success. Whenever I look back to who I was a few years ago, I felt regret that I didn't discover this sooner. If my life were to turn out to be a reality series, I would probably get a 1-star rating on Netflix or 0 on Rotten Tomatoes. But now, looking to how much I have achieved in just 1 year, I'm more confident with myself. And all it takes is celebration of your small victories, practice and repetition, and constant reminder of your 20 seconds of courage. Get yourself out there and try out everything. Because once you discover your passion, you will tend to love yourself more. You will always strive to become the better version of yourself. And if I ask you again to list down all the things that you love, be sure to include yourself. It took me 20 seconds of courage to walk on stage and to brave myself enough to talk about this. Another 20 seconds to start intro of my speech. And another 20 seconds to begin my story. And without realizing it, I have been talking for almost 18 minutes now. Tell yourself that all you need is 20 seconds of insane courage, and I promise you something great will come of it. Thank you.